Tonight, Thanksgiving dinner could look different this year as food prices surge.
So Emily, what you're going to do is you're going to collect a water sample using this.
And taking science class outdoors, students use their passion for the environment to help protect local wetlands. Plus, some furry friends provide stress relief during midterm week in Regina.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Friday, October 7th. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us. Sam McKenzie is away this evening. For many of us, this weekend means spending time with friends and family over Thanksgiving dinner. But if turkey prices have you squawking this year, you're not alone. As Pratush Dayal reports, the price of food is going up a lot.
You're going to make that trip to go see your relatives, or are you going to have to put food on the table? So yeah, definitely it's affecting us all.
Jason Henley says food inflation is increasing his family's grocery bill. He says there might not be as many leftovers this Thanksgiving compared to last year.
By the time you get out there and you pay and you walk out, it's $100 more than it was before, and it's still nothing barely in the cart. So yeah, it's hitting us hard.
Henley says his monthly budgets are skyrocketing. Other shoppers at a Saskatoon grocery store say they're cutting down on the number of people at the Thanksgiving dinner this weekend. How many people do you usually have on a Thanksgiving?
5-10 people.
And this time?
Maybe 4. Very close friends.
MacKenzie says meat and fresh vegetables are the most expensive. Imported items are also costing more.
When I ask, they say because it's shipping, okay? You know, as gas is up, now as gas is down, it's still like the price is still the same, eh?
It's really too costly as of now. But then there is global inflation all over, right? So we are living in an age of global inflation. So I believe it is the case everywhere. But then I still believe the government should take some steps to get it down.
You cut down on where you can. I've given up my car, so I carpool. That's the best savings that I can do.
You have to go through your flyers, you have to go to all the different stores, and you get the things that are on sale when you can get them on sale. And fresh produce, well, frozen's good too.
On the upside, some prices have gone down. According to Statistics Canada, frozen corn, broccoli and peas and other frozen vegetables have seen a price drop over the past year. But fresh produce like onions, carrots and grapes have seen an almost 30% increase. Cans of soup are also seeing a 68% increase in price, followed by apple juice, which has gone up by nearly 50%. Food researchers at Dalhousie University found that about 1 in 5 Canadians are planning to make menu adjustments for Thanksgiving, even considering replacing turkey with ham or chicken this year. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan government and opposition have read the latest job numbers and have come to very different conclusions. Premier Scott Moe said Statistics Canada's labour force survey is something to celebrate. He tweeted that Saskatchewan's 4.1% unemployment rate is the lowest in Canada and that it signals strong growth in the province's labour markets. Meanwhile, the NDP says the report shows the province had the worst job growth rate year over year across the country last month. The opposition also points to the 5,600 full-time jobs that have been lost month over month.
This is a concern, as I said, that's been raised by job creators, by workers, by municipalities, and a real sense that there isn't any plan for a labour force development strategy in this province to create, retain good jobs and people here in Saskatchewan.
Statistics Canada's latest monthly labour force survey shows this province's employment was down 2,200 jobs from August to September. That said, it's up by about 6,300 jobs when compared to this time last year. If you use a Visa or MasterCard, you may want to take a good look at your receipts. Business owners can now pass on some credit card surcharges to consumers. Anis Hadari explains what that change could mean for you.
The cost to run a coffee shop is high these days.
You know, small restaurants like our own that are labors of love are truly holding on by their fingernails.
That grip could get a bit stronger because of new rules for credit cards in Canada. Businesses can now charge people using Visa or MasterCard about 2% extra on top of their bill.
We're really at a point of razor-thin margins, and 2% could matter, it could make a difference.
Businesses have had to pay transaction fees every time you pay with a credit card, but a class action lawsuit has finally been settled. And now retailers like Chris Rampin can pass the cost on to consumers.
I don't see another solution, frankly. I would say 99% of our transactions are all on card, one way or the other.
There are perks to using credit.
It's just convenient, to use the plastic card rather than carrying the cash.
I get really good points with my credit card that may help me travel. No, points over everything.
People get their credit cards, they get their points, they get their rebates, they get their benefits, but they rarely ask themselves, who's paying for that?
The credit cards with more generous rewards often had hefty transaction fees that retailers covered. But now they can pass those fees directly onto the customer.
Only those consumers who choose to pay using their credit cards, and in some cases the more expensive credit cards, are going to be the ones that are going to be asked to pay a portion of those costs.
That could be a tough sell.
The cost of living is already fairly high, especially with cost of food and eating out. So with that extra 2%, I'm more inclined to use my debit card.
While these changes don't apply to every credit card out there, retailers must make it clear when they plan to charge them. What isn't clear is whether they're going to do so at all. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
The leader of the controversial Diagolon movement will stay behind bars. Jeremy MacKenzie, who's a far-right podcaster, is facing multiple gun-related charges stemming from an incident in Saskatoon a year ago. MacKenzie was in a Saskatoon court today for a bail hearing on those charges, which include assault. The Nova Scotia resident was arrested there last week on a Canada-wide warrant. He also faces mischief, criminal harassment, and intimidation charges in that province. He will be back in Saskatoon court next week. The Saskatoon Tribal Council is launching a pilot program that aims to reduce the number of women returning to custody. It's been given a Cree name that translates to Turning Around Women. It's expected to provide women from Pine Grove Correctional Centre up to 18 months of support to reintegrate back into their home communities. That includes better access to mental health, addictions, and cultural supports.
Turning around women. And when we speak about turning around, it's to have a quality of life. And that quality of life is helping them to have a better life through culture, through language, through identity, through programs, through service.
The provincial government is funding the program to the tune of $1.2 million a year for the next 3 years. It's touting the pilot as the province's first Indigenous designed and delivered reintegration program. Health Canada has approved Pfizer's bivalent vaccine. It's designed to protect against the original strain of the coronavirus, as well as the Omicron, BA4 and BA5 variants. Those are now the most common strains across Canada. CBC's Lauren Pelly has the details.
Health Canada's approval of Pfizer's updated COVID-19 vaccine means Canadians have another option to boost protection.
This particular vaccine contains mRNA from both the original SARS-CoV-2 virus and mRNA from the Omicron BA4 and BA5.
Those subvariants are the ones circulating in Canada right now. The booster's approved for people 12 and up, with deliveries expected to start next week.
Okay, so now we're going to send you a copy of the vaccine receipt to your email.
Already, people are rolling up their sleeves for a similar booster from Moderna. That option targets BA1, an older member of the Omicron family.
And there's no strong enough rationale to, I don't think, preferentially recommend one over the other at this stage.
People are at risk for infection.
Medical experts say what matters more is when you get your next shot.
Now what we have are different people who have been vaccinated at different times, maybe even with different vaccines. Many people have been infected and recovered from COVID-19 at various points in time as well. So it's much harder to have a one-size-fits-all approach to the vaccine rollout.
Federal vaccine advisors say most healthy adults should wait around 6 months after their last COVID vaccination or infection before getting another dose. But there's some wiggle room. People at a high risk for severe disease can consider waiting as little as 3 months. Virologists say those guidelines are meant to avoid overloading your immune system with information, a bit like juggling too many classes at school.
If you go and start a new class while the immune system is still in the middle of its previous class, that's not the right time to start a new class because the immune system is still in the process of processing that information and adapting to essentially the lesson that it got from that prior infection or prior vaccine.
The question now is just how many Canadians will actually get another shot. Federal numbers show only half the population has gotten a booster at any point in the pandemic. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Saskatchewan is getting closer to centralizing kindergarten to grade 12 online school courses. That means students will have access to classes provided by a wide range of schools all in one place. Right now, there are 33 online school systems in the province. The government says they serve about 4,000 full-time students and thousands more part-timers. Education Minister Dustin Duncan says the new system will be more economical and will offer more course variety. This as online classes are becoming increasingly popular.
We looked pretty closely at what kind of models existed around the country and were there opportunities to find some efficiencies through centralizing. More and more students, regardless of the pandemic, were taking classes online, and I think, if you look out over the next decade plus, we'll probably see more of this, not less.
Catholic school divisions can continue operating their own online schools or eventually join the centralized system. Duncan says the system will be up and running by next fall. It's midterm season for university students, and that can come with a load of stress. But the University of Regina's Student Wellness Centre is hoping that looking at a face like this will offer some relief. The centre teamed up with St. John Ambulance to bring in therapy dogs. Students can pet and play with the pups in between crushing exams and submitting assignments. It's all part of the university's efforts to raise awareness about mental health on campus. Jennifer Ledoux is completing her fieldwork placement at the Wellness Centre.
We're glad that people are seeing that there are resources on campus. There's been a lot of joy and excitement around it, a lot of people being googly-eyed over the puppies, and it's just great to see that students know that they are not alone and there are resources.
It's the first time the dogs are visiting the university since the pandemic hit. The Wellness Centre hopes to bring back the pups every 2 weeks throughout the fall and winter. Last Friday was a day for celebration at Wanuskewin Heritage Park as a baby bison was born. Staff discovered the calf on September 30th, the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The bison's birth date brought up many emotions. Staff say the calf represents what's been lost and what's being revived by working through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to actions. And the changing colors mean it's time to pull out the rake and put away those golf clubs. Regina and Saskatoon will be closing municipal golf courses over the coming weeks, beginning Thanksgiving Monday. Both cities are staggering the closures to allow folks to sneak in a few more rounds before snowfall. Best to contact the courses directly to know when you can last hit the green. We'll be back after the break. Some high school students in Regina are taking their science class outdoors, and they're helping the environment while they learn. It's part of an initiative to make the McKell-Wascana Conservation Park a wetland center of excellence.
So the Wetland Centers of Excellence, it's a network of national partners, so a mix of school, community partners, and Ducks Unlimited. And our goal is to engage and empower high school students to become stewards of their local wetlands. And it's up to them to decide on which conservation project that speaks to them.
Guys, what is it? It's a midge larva.
It's a midge larva.
It can range from water quality testing. It can be setting up a social media awareness campaign about wetlands importance.
It's a great way for us to learn out of the classroom because we spend a lot of time in there and it can get really boring at times. So this is a great new experience and a way to get us into nature, which is very healthy.
So Emily, what you're going to do is you're going to collect a water sample using this vial. And you want to collect the 25 milliliters as close as you can. By getting to a site like this, they kind of feel a responsibility for maintaining it. They become advocates for the environment, not just necessarily this wetland, but also other areas around the city and the province, and might lead them into some interest into other careers within environmental science. And it's a very broad field, so there's lots of opportunities for the students once they're done high school.
Science has always been sort of a part of my life. I was really into dinosaurs as a kid, to an obsession. And so yeah, I've always been more sort of scientifically minded, but I'm just really happy that sort of as a school we're taking this initiative. At the end of the day, if you're going to actually go out and experience what you're doing, everybody, without exception, is going to be able to absorb that information and come away from it feeling impacted and genuinely care about what they were learning about, significantly more than just memorizing text in a classroom. I just hope that people are going to learn to actually care about the environment, just less throwing wrappers over the shoulder, sort of thinking about your actions, actually understanding. I really hope that this is going to impact them.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear out is on now.
CBC weather specialist Ethan Williams joins us now. You were out there with those students and it looked like you had a gorgeous day. So what does the weather look like for folks wanting an outdoor adventure this weekend?
Yeah, well, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, going to be a gorgeous next 3 days and really heading into next week too. Now, I showed you this board a couple of days ago and we were actually on the minus side of things. We were dropping by 15 degrees heading into that really cool day that we had the other day. But now, this is a look at highs yesterday versus what's forecast tomorrow, and we're going back up the other way. We've already started increasing our temperatures today between a 10 and 15 degree temperature change within these last 48 hours here. And when we take a look back at Thanksgiving Monday, for example, from last year versus what's forecast this year, you can really see that difference too. Regina, Saskatoon, even La Ronge, we're expecting to get around 20 degrees into the low 20s. Last year, we were sitting at or just below 10 degrees for a daytime high. So warm turkey, warm temperatures is what we can expect. And we're seeing that right now as well. Even though it's 6 in Collins Bay, that is right around where it should be this time of year. And lots of warmth in the southwest and west central parts of the province where we're close to 20 degrees. Closer to 15 as you work your way eastward, including in Regina. We're sitting at 17 in Saskatoon. And here's why our temperatures and our weather in general has been so pleasant. We're still sitting under that ridge. But as we move through the weekend, that's going to stay with us, keep us pleasant. But then a trough in our upper atmosphere starting to move in midweek next week. And that shifts our way by the time we get to about Wednesday. And that could cause a little bit of unsettled weather, especially in the north of the province. And we are also looking for some cooler temperatures as well. Now, really, on this map, we're not going to be seeing much over these next few days, as I say, with that ridge. Maybe some showers in the northeast part of the province overnight tonight. But really into tomorrow and through Sunday, we have high pressure to our east that's keeping us clear. Maybe a little bit of light cloud cover in the central part of the province. And then we get to Monday and we are cleared out once again. Now, there is the possibility of some fog in northern Saskatchewan tonight, especially in the far north. That will likely dissipate pretty quickly tomorrow morning as we get those warmer temperatures, but dew points will be fairly close to the temperatures in that part of the province tonight. Winds not going to be too excessive as we head through these next 24 hours. Really in the south of the province tomorrow is when we'll feel them, and they'll only be around 30 kilometers an hour or so. Then moving into Sunday, calm day as high pressures just off to our east. Monday, I think, will be our breeziest day of the long weekend. We're looking at gusts between 40 and 50, specifically in that southwest corner, I think is where we're looking at those picking up the most. But in Regina, a very beautiful long weekend ahead, and going into next week rather, looks like we're going to see a bit of a cool down. Winds are going to pick up with that trough that is moving in. In Saskatoon, a beautiful day tomorrow, 20 degrees, and a normal should be around 13. Look at those overnight lows, 9 degrees. That is well above average for this time of year. So we do get a little windy and cool into next week, Natasha, but it looks like that holiday weekend going to be beautiful.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Well, people with disabilities or those who are nonverbal have a new way to enjoy the outdoors this long weekend. The City of Regina has installed communication panels at 3 parks. They have pictures and words that allow people to point out what they want to do or how they feel. You can find them at Gawkey, Les Sherman, and Regent parks. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Danielle Smith will be sworn in next week as the Premier of Alberta. She takes over from Jason Kenney as the leader of the United Conservative Party. The CBC's Julia Wong examines where Smith plans to take the party and the province.
Danielle Smith held her first caucus meeting as leader of the United Conservative Party, and she had lots of caucus support when she came out to speak with media, flanked by UCP MLAs here in Calgary. The one was notably absent, outgoing Premier Jason Kenney. Now, Smith says that there were lots of questions during this meeting, and she emphasized that listening to caucus will be central in a Smith government, saying that it will be caucus that will drive the agenda. Now, pushing back against Ottawa, standing up against Justin Trudeau was a central plank to Smith's leadership campaign. She says that they can have a constructive relationship.
If they recognize that we expect the same level of respect that they give to Quebec and the same level of deference that they give to Quebec. We have the exclusive right to develop and manage and export our resources. And unfortunately, the Prime Minister and his Environment Minister has not been respectful of that.
Smith faces several challenges, the first of them being unity. The United Conservative Party has been extremely divisive over the last several months, so she's now tasked with bringing everyone together, making sure they're all on the same page and that they can all move forward on the same issues. Another will be the Sovereignty Act, which is the first bill that she plans to introduce in the House later in October. Now, this act, she says, would allow Alberta to stop enforcing federal laws, to ignore federal laws if it doesn't like them or if it thinks that those laws could be working against the best interests of Alberta. But that act would need wide caucus support.
We are going to be introducing it in the fall. We've got a caucus retreat that will be planned in October 17th to 19th, and we'll be getting a full briefing then and working on the final wording for it.
Smith says she will be sworn in as Premier next Tuesday and says she will announce her cabinet on October 21st. Julia Wong, CBC News, Calgary.
Ethan is back for one last look at the weather as we head into the long weekend.
And don't let the temperature in Regina at 8 a.m. tomorrow fool you, Natasha, because it may be a little chilly at 3 degrees, but we are going to quickly warm up. We'll see some sun and cloud tomorrow morning and some sun and cloud tomorrow afternoon as well. 16 on our way to a high near 20 in Regina. Those west winds picking up to around 30 kilometers an hour or so. How about a completely identical forecast for Saskatoon? 3 degrees as well at 8 a.m. West winds just under 20 kilometers an hour. And as we head to the noon hour, we're sitting around 16 degrees on our way to a high of 20. West winds just under 30 or so. Now the rider game is on right now in Hamilton. It is 7-6 riders with about 10 minutes left before halftime. And through the game tonight, we are actually looking pretty nice. 7 degrees with winds out of the west around 25 kilometers an hour, mainly cloudy skies and low chance of precipitation. So Natasha, weather's going to be nice. Now we just need the riders to win.
And wouldn't that be something to be thankful for?
Indeed.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn Reed will be back with more local news at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.